Hello, everybody. Happy New Year to the first Lorne stream that I've done on this channel this year, I believe. We have had a bit of DMAC news, which we went over yesterday. And obviously, the start of the new year is a chance for us all to kind of reflect upon our own lives and kind of like look at where we're kind of going wrong and maybe look at some improvements we're going to make and have a New Year's resolution is generally what people do. I've had a few people ask me this question already, and the answer has been, the usual: don't get arrested continually for failing sex offender class. And I've done pretty good at that so far in my life. However, there is one gentleman who hasn't done that well at that particular task, and that's, of course, our favourite sex offender, Mr. Lorne Armstrong. Now, with me are two of my very good friends who are also experts in pornography for various reasons. Mr. Shins Koala, hello, sir.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. And Tiffany Lockhart is here as well. Hello. I nearly said hello, sir, then. That would have been quite...
Yeah, I know.
Hi, sir. Hi, madam.
I wasn't sufficiently intimidated. I'm sorry.
Hello.
Hi.
Reaction.
Hi.
Hi.
Sexy little thing in the pool.
Oh, I knew we wouldn't go that far without you. You love that, don't you?
Oh man, we got a lot of people in the room here. Oh, we should do what Oprah does. Let's hand out literal assholes. Okay, TCAP recipes, you get a literal asshole. Erido, you get a literal asshole. Everybody gets a literal asshole. Kenny Rand, Hazen, Omega, Heber, Jess, everybody gets a literal asshole. And it looks like
asshole. That's quite high praise.
It is. It's probably the ultimate reward. It really is.
And to be fair, most people, the first comment I've seen from Jess pretty much sums up this stream, which is the answer to the question, because the title of the stream is a question. New Year, New Lorne, of which we all agree, no.
Wait a minute, I got to give a.
So
I got to give
that
a literal
ends this stream. Goodbye, everybody.
Oh man! Hey, Tiffy, did you ever get a literal asshole from Lorne? I'm curious. What the hell happened, Mike?
I don't remember. I don't think it was as glorious as the one that he sent to Ramona.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, if there was one. I can't remember. Actually, I think that he might have. I remember there was this pose where he was laying down and he had his feet up, or his leg. He was pulling his legs back.
Yes.
He was assuming the position, so I think there might have been an asshole in there.
What's he doing? Is he getting ready to change his diaper or something? What the hell was that pose all about?
I have no idea. But I think he was just, he was giving all of his trust.
All of his trust.
That means you take pictures like that, I guess.
Brought you closer.
Yeah.
It's closeness.
Something like that. Yeah.
Right, I've got a question for either of you two, and I need you to answer this honestly. We've all seen pictures of Lorne's penis. However, have we seen pictures of his literal arsehole?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, you sick freaks.
I couldn't help myself.
Oh,
Are you kidding me?
Goodness gracious me.
Look, sometimes you got to do things, man, sometimes you're into things, I just had to see, I had to see the actual, how he composed it, how he posed, how he, just did it, just the entire thing. I had to see it, and it was glorious. It really was. He did a great job.
I'm kind of jealous now.
Yeah.
But I'm still not going to look, though. It's like, it's kind of the forbidden. It's a little bit, I can't do it. I had to see.
You're going to hold on to that story and say that you haven't seen it? Is that what you're doing? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Is that all right?
Okay. Yeah, go right ahead.
You haven't lived until you see it, Andrew. Really, seriously.
Well, do you know what? I'm not, curious. I wanted to see his cock. I don't know why. I just had to. Because it was just kind of like... It's a little bit like...
You want to know what the fuss is all about, right? I mean, that's essentially what it
There's
is.
part of it, but you know, like another part, right? When celebrities have the nude photos leaked, like Jennifer Lawrence, you know you shouldn't look at them because it's not. It's their personal kind of pictures. It's wrong. It's like violating their privacy. But I can't help myself.
Yeah, I went to see his cock, Andrew Burkett, 2020.
I can't deny it. I can't deny it. It just had to be done. It had to be done. I'm pretty sure that nobody, right, anybody in the chat, right, speak up now or forever hold your peace if you have not seen Lorne's penis. I bet there's no stream in the world that's going on right now where someone
Give us a
just
one if you
asked
haven't
that
seen
question.
it. Give us a one if you haven't seen him naked completely. No blur, no pixels, nothing. Just him in all of his glory. Let's see.
Oh dear. What?
I've seen everything. Connor has
I
seen
have
it.
not.
I think most guys have seen it more than women. That's what I think. Oh, well, here we go. Patty has not seen it. One is not seeing.
Oh, hey, Meb.
So. Oh, look at all these people.
You see, it's not just me.
Watson, watch out for Watson. She's going to put somebody in timeout. Watch out. She did that. She has this. She's drunk with power. With if you give her a wrench, Andrew, watch out. Let's see. Everybody. Okay, 2 is you have seen it. So I would be in the 2. Isn't anybody curious though? I mean, what the fuss is? What he's what he's so proud of? I mean, isn't anybody? I mean, just for that reason. No. Okay, everybody. Yes, Jess has seen it. Okay, Webbs has seen it. Hazen's seen it. Stacy, I'm sorry for you. You've seen it. Kelpill, yes, of course, Kelpill has seen it. She's always prepared. And Patrick, Aerodo, yes. I'm looking for the word cashew. I don't see that here. Okay. Clobbering time 228. What is that? Oh, that's his inmate number. I got that, Clobbering time. You try to stop that. That's his
the number
old
of
inmate
times
number.
Clobbering Time looks at it every day. He loves that.
What's his new number though? Do they get the same old numbers? I don't think they do.
They do in the UK. I'm not sure about the States.
I wonder if he would, because I actually think he's in the same prison, isn't he?
He is. He's in Fort Dix. Correct.
In the UK, you keep the same prison number. If you're in prison, it doesn't matter which prison that you go in at any part at any time in the country, you always keep the same one. So there's probably a good chance that's the same.
Oh, that's weird. It's like people walking around.
Imagine McFetridge's was probably 00001, like his social security number.
Yes, Patrick, he got a new number, 20014. That's what he got.
Okay, gotcha.
Oh, right, okay. Blows my theory then.
Ooh, has anybody been caught looking at Lorne's nudes?
That's a
I haven't.
great question.
I
Come
have
on,
not.
Shim. With the amount of times you must have looked at Lorne's penis, you must have been caught. You must have been.
The amount of. Are you saying that there's a quantity of time that?
When you picked me up at the airport, I caught you in the car looking at your phone and looking at pictures of Lorne's penis. I'm joking, by the way.
Yeah, no, you're not. It's true. But but what's really important is I did not show any shame, nor did I deny it.
That's very true. That's very true.
I was honest with you. Let's see. But what did I get? Oh, I gave you something. I gave you a $5 bracelet and a box of condoms.
Yeah, just in case anybody doesn't know, right? When Shin very kindly picked me up from Boston Airport for our Cordley trip, which was majestic, he had a gift for me, which was a silver bracelet and a pack of Trojan condoms, and he saved the receipt as well.
A variety pack, and not only that, it all came from Walmart. It's really important. It was in a Walmart bag.
And I hope, I have cleaners, right? And this has only just occurred to me. They're gonna go looting. They probably had a route through my drawers, as in
I was gonna say.
And saw a massive pack of Trojan condoms and a silver bracelet on top, and they were like, "What the fuck is this guy into?"
Oh my! You should have put it in your carry-on.
And also the framed pictures of Lorne's cock that are hidden on me, that are hung up on me wall. That might be a little more difficult to. But Yeah. Wow.
Open up, dump on my tablet. His words. What's wrong with the deformed dick? Okay. My pornographer boyfriend has seen the dick pic. So through accidentally opening up the dump on my tablet, his words. What's wrong with the deformed
Right,
dick?
Tiffany, I'm going to ask you a very personal question here. Are you going to
Okay.
answer? I need a
Yes.
woman's perspective on the pros and cons of Lorne's penis. I find penises difficult to judge from an
Okay.
aesthetic perspective.
Well, it's better looking than most people, most guys. He's been told.
By
People feel that.
I don't know who's telling him that. Yeah, I don't know who's telling him that. But it's not. I mean, a penis is not particularly attractive. I think women can agree on that. It's something to be used, not to just be looked at.
I think
So-
the same could be said for all genitalia.
Of course, of course. But it doesn't look good.
Yeah,
No.
Jess has just said there's no pros for it's a deformed worm.
Well, it pees well in toilets he's never been in before. So I mean, it works.
Actually, Shin, this might be a good time to bring up your ED theory.
Oh my
or do you want
God,
to talk about that in another video?
Well, first of all, let's be clear. It's not necessarily my ED, or at least not recently. But we were talking about Lorne's ED. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring up your personal life. Just for the benefit of anybody in there, that's nothing that he's told me. We were talking about Lorne, and Shin has a theory about the working of his thing.
I think it has a much bigger impact than we all think.
I thought
Probably
you were
on
going
his
to
whole
say,
life.
I think he has a much bigger than we all think then. But
Yes. I was only hear what you want to hear. Okay, so I think that it's psychological. I'm not sure if there's anything physically wrong with him, but I definitely think it's psychological. As to the cause of that, we can guess many things, but a lot of it has to do with insecurity, obviously. That's a huge one. And I think that, this kind of brings us back to the virginity question that we all like to debate about. We'll never know the answer to that. But I do know, or at least I feel, that if, in fact, he did have an opportunity, I don't think he would have been able to perform. And the reason why I say that is because, first of all, again, being the viewer of some of these videos that I've seen, he has a hard time maintaining an erection. I mean, he can get it erect sometime, and when he does, he's very, very proud of it, and he wants everybody to see it. And then it lasts for about, I don't know, whatever the number is. And I believe that he was showing off his dick to Kayla so often because I think he wanted her to get used to the idea that this is what a dick normally does. It doesn't always get hard. ED is normal. So that's why I think, and so she wouldn't be so disappointed. And the idea that he went after a minor who wouldn't know any better. So that's my theory.
He was planning on the sexual encounter and he bought the condoms, right? So was he just hoping he'd be able to get it in that condition? Do you understand what I mean? Because if he has this problem and he's going to meet her and he's thinking, shit, I'm not going to be able to get it hard. He's not going to be able to. But yet he thought he was going to genuinely have sex with her, didn't he?
Well, he was going to do a lot of different things with her. Didn't necessarily involve penetration that would require him to be erect.
Maybe that's why he left them in the truck, because he didn't think he'd eat them.
It could be.
But then again,
he was going to take her back to his place. That was his plan. That was the plan.
Right. I don't think he was planning on staying there.
Yeah. So that's just my idea. And now that goes to kind of the virginity question. Could he have had opportunities? Yes, of course he could have. And what could he have done with those? Again, I stress very limited opportunities. And I think that for somebody with that kind of ED, you need to work out of that with someone like a partner or even a therapist and a partner, or whatever it is. And he never had that opportunity. So I'm thinking that time where he's all obsessed about Paula. I think that she may have given him an opportunity, and he failed miserably, and he just kept begging her for another chance. I want to do it again. I love you. I love you. We'll make it work. We'll make my dick work. I don't know.
I've just had a disturbing thought about number one victim and the meeting that we're not sure what happened.
Yeah.
So the person in the chat who was on Lorne's MySpace, whose name we have mentioned but we don't like mentioning, Lorne said that the breakup was a mutual thing. Isn't that right, Tiff?
Yeah.
It might have something to do with Lorne's. I mean, this is stretching a bit here because I personally don't think it got to that. I can't remember.
Well, we'll never know, Andrew. We'll never know.
No,
but
of course, there's a lot that we don't know, but we speculate.
Yeah.
It's just like the erectile dysfunction thing. We're not sure that that's the case, are we?
Well, no, but it fits. It fits. To me, it fits. Erido, you're right. I think he did stalk her. And I think he stalked her to the point of really pressing her to give him another chance to do it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that's what's happened. The way that he said that they both decided. I believe he said that they both decided.
No, it's a weird way of doing it. No, he said that he was prepared to marry her, and she got wind that he was going to propose to her, and she beat him to the punch by saying, "Don't ask me." And this is the weird part, because you'd be the kind of guy I'd want to marry. So why wouldn't he ask her in that situation? It doesn't make sense. It's something as Dustin's interrogator said, something doesn't add up here. There's something missing in that story. Huge thing.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely think that that's what's happened because there's no way.
Yes, Amanda, he's a liar. Yes, that's true.
And Paul's in the chat. Hello. Yeah, I think that's the way it went. It makes me like I feel a bit uncomfortable talking about that victim number one situation sometimes. I find that the most disturbing part because obviously there's a real person there. When we talk about the Kayla situation, even though we kind of have this image in our head of what Kayla was like, we know that she wasn't real, so we can speculate and we can talk. It doesn't really bother us, but when we start talking about victim number one, it gets very real then, doesn't it?
I think we got a really small part of that story. Very.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
I mean, he's not going to admit everything.
No, we don't even. But what he did admit was bad enough.
Oh, sure, absolutely. I mean, but he's not going to admit everything. He never does that until he's pressed to, or he feels like he's backed into a corner and people already know because he was told prior to even my speaking with him even more in detail. Right before that, he was told this person had already reached out to the community and we know that you were inappropriate with her.
Right. That's right. And I think that's what probably got him to speak honestly or semi-honestly about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just like if you go backwards into the Ramona conversations, he was saying he never spoke to anyone underage except for that decoy. And now the story changes because he says, there's some other information out here that I can't dispute because it really did happen.
2 people, 2 minors.
To 2 other people, yeah. Which multiply that number by how many? We don't know.
Exactly. We don't know. But here's the other thing. It's not necessarily how many he may have snagged, but how many did he try to snag?
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
I
mean,
how did he meet victim one again? Was it a country music room?
Yeah.
Because that's a strange place for him to go. Do you think that was a tactic on his part to go looking for underage girls there?
Absolutely.
I don't think so. Oh.
You really?
Yeah.
Really? I think he wanted a croon for them. I think he wanted an opportunity to sing them.
I really think that he went there specifically for the singing, the way that he went to all his karaoke bars to do the singing.
Yeah, but there were some discussions he had where he talked about he actually did sing. for somebody. I don't know what it was, in the room or something, or that's other people would take turns singing. How do they do
Yeah.
that? I don't know.
I don't know. It's probably something sort of like this where they have, they're in a chat room and there's, people have the opportunity to have a microphone and then they just, they
Yeah.
sing it that,
Yeah, he
through
had a
that.
microphone too. Yeah.
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 So, but yeah, I don't think he was specifically doing that for the fact that he was going to be speaking with someone younger. I think he just wanted to go and sing and have other people tell him that he was
Saying
a good
that
singer.
though, we have only
Mhm.
got his word for it that that's where he met her.
Yeah, I don't agree.
Oh,
with you.
definitely. Yeah, I don't know. I really, for some reason, I'm not questioning that. I don't think that he was going into chat rooms that are designated for teenagers.
No, I agree with that, but I
Mhm.
agree he went into chat rooms not to sing, but to look for, to not to necessarily look for young girls, but look for women. Look
Oh,
for
yeah, definitely.
girls.
That was his whole point in
Yeah.
doing any of this.
Okay, I
I
understand
thought
that.
you were saying he went there looking for young girls. And
No,
that's
no,
why
no. I
he
didn't
was
say
singing.
that. That's
Okay.
just an opportunity thing, and obviously it's within his wheelhouse
Right.
to have those girls because of his prior victims. But
Yeah.
yeah, chances are real women probably got turned off by him, and
Did you
he ended up
know?
with.
Can I just point out? I don't hope this isn't judgmental or anything, but I don't think that many young girls would hang out in country music chat rooms. Especially a girl like her who was like quite vulnerable and had a lot of family problems. I'm not saying that it wouldn't happen, but I think it would be very rare. I don't think that if you, oh God, I nearly said a
That's an
name.
interesting point, Andrew.
Because
Yeah.
if you think about victim number one, right, as I understand it, was her father an alcoholic?
Yeah.
Her father, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's fair to say that she came from a broken family. Now, people like Lorne, predators like Lorne, they seek, as we know, you don't need me to tell you this, they seek out people like her that are vulnerable and not in a mental position to judge and to look out for themselves. They are vulnerable. They're exactly the type of target that a predator picks.
Mhm.
People like her, when they have these troubled lives, they don't necessarily have a specific hobby like that keeps them engaged. It happens, but it's quite rare. What they tend to do is hang around with people their own age, get into trouble, and just kind of avoid the home life, to avoid the kind of home situation that they're in, which is really challenging. So I don't think that she would have been in a room like that. And what it might sound like we're dwelling on something which doesn't really matter,
Wait a
but
minute,
really,
who are we talking about, Kayla or victim one?
victim one, Kayla was in.
Victim one was into country music.
Is that definite?
Well, according to
According to what he says. And then
I
also,
just think
if it,
that the reason I think it's quite significant is because let's just say that. Because if he's saying he met her in a country music room, it's almost like he's saying it was an innocent thing. Like, oh, we both had something in common. Oh, we were both talking about country music and we liked each other. We cared about each other. It was an organic thing. It's kind of giving himself a release. I would think that people like her, the amount of people in her position that would go in country music rooms is minimal. Very, very small. So that means that he sought her out specifically.
Well, wait a minute.
Believe.
You got to also throw in one more variable, though. The variable is what part of the country was he in?
he was in Maine at the time, and he did say that it was a local
Oh, that's right.
chat room.
That's right.
So it's either he was in a local country music chat room or he was in a local chat room like he was when he was speaking with Kayla.
Right.
And
I think he was lying about that to try and make it look more innocent.
Well, that's the other thing. He could have met her anywhere.
Johnny is saying that he met her on MySpace. I know that they spoke on MySpace and he had her added to his MySpace, but I don't know that that's where they met each other.
Yeah,
It could be.
I'm not sure that's the case, Johnny. I think maybe you just Is it right that maybe you're assuming that because they were friends on MySpace? Because he did actually mention that in the chat, but the only time that we've ever had word of when he met her was when you spoke to him, Tiffany, wasn't it?
Yeah.
This is like a really difficult puzzle. I mean, we got all the pieces. We just don't know what fits together and in what order. It's really weird. Did MySpace come before the Yahoo Country Music Room? We don't know, but we know both happened. So the question is, how do we put together the sequence of events here? And we can't. He could very well have met her on MySpace. Who knows? I don't remember how they did friend requests back then. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
I would say this, right? That he sought her out specifically. It adds more weight to that he was targeting younger girls because I know we can't know for certain, and it's fun to speculate, which is what we're doing. We're getting to the real kind of real pornography, which was the speculation. Did he do this and did he do that? I think he sought these people out in any way he could. I don't think he met her in a country music room, which means he was going out targeting these people. Generally speaking, girls like victim number one. Not always. They generally don't go out there looking for much older guys. It's generally the older guys that target them and manipulate them and make them think that they are the answer to their broken home, which is exactly the situation that Lorne put himself in when he was talking to Kayla.
I have a suspicion that he did go to country rooms, but I think he met all of these people in like singles rooms, those kinds of things, singles only or things like that. I have a feeling he was in there more often than he was in country music. And he could easily just say, I met this person in the country music room. But I think he was out hunting. And you don't hunt on a country. You got to remember, what does he use the internet for, essentially? Finding women, right?
Yeah, I mean,
that's it. That's
do you
it.
know what I'd be really interested to know? Well, actually, he was using the internet when he was speaking to Amanda James, wasn't he?
Yes.
Because he said
same purpose.
in the conversation with Chris Hansen that his sister knew how to use the internet or was better at reading people or something, but he made it sound like he'd not been using it for a long time. So he met Amanda James, so he started getting used to it, and then as time went on, he went to Nashville, and then he was a because if you think about like what he had when he moved there, he didn't have much. He didn't have a bed, did he? He didn't have really anything, but he made sure he had his laptop computer, didn't he, or whatever it was. So that was one of the essentials. If you're going to be buying that before a bed,
and a desk, and a chair, and
it's fundamental.
Take a look at what Rhoda wrote. It's a great theory, I think. Rhoda's Chew Tootsie. She says, I think Lorne met some teen guy, then friended his friends. That could very well be the case. All you got to do is get an in. He's just got to get an in somewhere. It's just like his niece's friends are his friends. He met them through, he had to have some kind of a connection. I don't know. I don't think
he would be interested in being friends with a teenage boy, though.
No, I don't see how that could have happened. It's an interesting theory, but I don't think that would have happened personally.
I don't know. It's an in.
I mean, it absolutely would be kind of like the Steve Takes Pics guy, coming in and as a younger guy and then passing him off to someone else.
You know what I watched today? It was like eating my food. I've always got to have something on the TV, and I stuck a Dateline episode on, and it was the one where Casey Moreau's in it, and it was the guy Ernest Timmons, where he's like, I don't know, sir. It's like the guy who went in with a camera, and he's like, he's just really made me laugh. That one. He's dead now, that guy. Isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
He just made me laugh because of the camera and how he sweated so much in his crazy story. Some guy called Kevin.
I got to tell you, I'm giving more credence to Rhoda's theory here the more I think about it. I think he does that. I think would easily befriend another guy friend just to get in with his group of friends. He could find a guy friend and see all his girls that are his friends, and he'd get in that way. Because I don't think he could initiate a conversation and keep someone who isn't a decoy on his own. He has to have a pre-existing relationship or somebody who vouches for him.
What about a friend of his niece or nephew's?
Yeah, well, that's what I think. I think we're coming closer to the. I feel it's closer to the truth. Rhoda, I agree with you. I agree with you.
I also think
he hate boys, Connor, but he could use boys. And you got to remember, he had boys on his MySpace friends list.
Did he?
But they weren't. They were. I think that they were related to him. I don't think that because
one was
from what I could see, it didn't. He didn't have a whole bunch of friends. It was a small group.
Lorne didn't have friends. Come on.
Well, again, that I think that strengthens the theory that he had to. If he doesn't have a lot of friends, he has difficulty meeting friends. So the best way to expand his group is to use his existing friends for that. Because
right, but
no one in the world is going to stay on the phone or stay on a chat with this guy. He's not only disgusting if he gets to that point, but he's boring as fuck.
No, absolutely. But I think it makes sense that these friends, you know, that he's meeting could definitely be the friends of his nieces and nephews, because he was saying that, you know, he feels like he could speak to them more freely or easily. And then also Patty had mentioned that you could set parameters for what you were looking for on MySpace. He could have been looking for young ladies in his area.
Yeah.
So he could have just thrown that out there.
We just got somebody said we're cutting out. Are we coming in okay, guys? Anybody?
Yeah, just let us know in the chat, guys, if everything's okay.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. It's easy to befriend a kid. It's easy to befriend you can just buy him booze and cigarettes, like Gordon said. You could, especially in Maine, that area. But my guess is that he had a loose connection to that victim. And that's the only way that victim would have given him the time of day. I mean, unless he was really broken. I mean, I just don't see what he has to offer her at all. I mean, when he met her, she was actually having problems with her boyfriend, I guess. And so there wasn't any initial a romantic intent, but there was probably some grooming and waiting for his chance to pounce, which he did.
There was definitely romantic intent on his part.
Well, I'm not saying he didn't express it. That's what I meant. When he was just, I would assume he was just kind of counseling her on how to deal with her boyfriend issues and father issues, and again, laying the groundwork for his grooming. You can trust me, take a look at my dick, things like that.
Right.
It leads right to that. I mean, it just doesn't make sense how unless he's just, again, doing a shotgun approach and just shooting, throwing as many requests out there as he can, and hopefully he lands one or two.
Well, I think that is part of what he's doing. If he's in the chat room, he's saying hello to everybody. And then also he didn't start off with Kayla right away saying, you know, do you want to see my dick? He started off, if no one will talk to you, then I will.
Yeah.
You know, don't worry. I'm a nice guy. Don't worry about me.
I could see that being the same conversation with victim one.
Right.
Sorry, guys. Can I just halt? I believe we might be having some.
Yeah, we're cutting out.
I don't know. It's saying that the stream health is good. It did cut out and go red for a little bit. I've closed some internet browsers down on my computer.
Is there anybody's particular mic, or is it everyone who's cutting out?
I think it's okay now. I think it was crap for a little bit, but no, cutting in and out again. I have some issues on my stream. Right, yeah.
It buffers. A lot of buffering.
He's not receiving enough video to maintain. Right, I don't understand. I'm sorry about this, guys. Oh shit, I know why. That's why.
What'd you do, Ed? What'd you do, Ed?
I was recording a video at the same time as. It's because I've got hotkeys set up, but I think I've sorted it. So I do apologise, guys. It should be sorted now.
Let's find out if people. Are we okay now, folks? Let's see. We got to keep talking to make sure that we're not chopping up.
I don't see that it's buffering right now, so hopefully it's okay.
Take a look. Like you can trust me. Hey, Steve.
Yeah,
Steve gets a little excellent. Okay. Total grooming. Total grooming. Absolutely. Let's see. Well, I have my sound off, so I can't tell if it's choppy. So I have no idea.
I think we'll. I think video. Right. I think we'll be okay. We'll just. Yeah, it's still cutting out. I'm so sorry about this. It's my fuck up. Oh, right. We should be okay now. I think it sorted itself out.
Okay.
So I'm sorry to interrupt because we were kind of doing some interesting theorising then, weren't we, about the victim number one situation, and it's his tactics that I think it's interesting. That what's always fascinated me is did he have a specific intention of, like, was his plan each day, right, I'm going to target kids? You know what I mean? It makes a huge difference. I thought he was just an opportunist that would go for anyone, but the fact that he would have a plan and go in these rooms and meet these younger people, it's quite a disturbing thought.
Well, you know what I think is interesting is that when he was speaking to Kayla, it was pretty consistent, where it wasn't as if he was going away or there were long gaps in his chat where he wasn't around. So I don't think that he was speaking to anyone else when he was, even though he had tried. Obviously, we have the chat logs with Disney Girl. But I don't think he was going out there trying to meet actual women, because I've never heard him speak about talking to any adult women aside from Amanda James.
Well, what about he was having plans to have victim one join him down in Nashville once he graduates high school? He was talking to her.
Right, but I mean, any adult women.
No, well, yeah, I don't think there's any adult women in his life,
Right.
other than Paula and that 29-year-old girl he went out with, I guess.
Allegedly.
Sorry, guys, the stream is. I can't figure out what the problem is. I'm going to stop it and start it again to see if that helps, because it's buffering for people. It's really spoiling it. Turn video quality down to 240p. Right, let me try and do that.
It might be okay. Can we get another check from everybody? Jess says it sounds good.
Could you just, anybody who knows how to do that? I think I've got to change. Yeah. Best quality, normal, ultra low latency. Best.
We actually touched on that last week. I think the question is, how do you learn about deleting archives? How do you learn about all these ways to avoid detection, all this other stuff? Well, I think he was talking to people. That's what I think. I think they share.
Right, you're right about that too. And then also where he received his porn as well.
Oh yeah, that's prima facie right there. I mean, God, I mean, how many times do we all are so bothered when we get child porn sent to us accidentally? We hate that.
It was crazy.
Right, it happens all the time.
It was a revelation when we heard that. I think we all talked about it. I remember having a conversation with you, Shin, because I think it was when we started doing streams for the first time, all of us, and that was a massive revelation to me, because I feel completely fucking stupid for misjudging him. Obviously, you can't read the chat log and think he's, a good guy. But I just thought that he was in there, and the opportunity arose that he would chat up, which seems ridiculous because all the warning signs are there that he's, he's a predator, and the fact that he had that image, that is a massive, massive thing. That, because, like you quite rightly made a joke out of, none of us get sent these images accidentally. It just doesn't happen. for him to admit that he had it on his computer and then talk a load of shit about it.
Well, he felt confident because he thought that it came from Xavier, which is the most ridiculous thing in the world. I mean, if you think about it, if Xavier and apparently Xavier sent it to him while he was chatting with Kayla, so during that time frame. If Xavier not only wants to screw up Lorne's case, he'd screw up every case that Perverted Justice ever did if he ever did something like that. All those,
and it's totally unnecessary as well. Why would you need to do it with someone who's incriminating himself every 5 seconds?
Yeah, I mean, for Lorne to believe it, I'm just telling you what the common sense behind that is. But he believes it because he was told that. So, and again, he'll go with that because the truth is a lot worse.
And Lorne's delusions are so grand that he believes what he's coming out with. Like, he believes, and this is what makes his predatory behaviour all the more disturbing, is the fact that he doesn't even recognise it himself. All the stuff he's, you've spoke to him at length on occasion, Tiffany, right? And the most frustrating element that we can gather is that how he can't even admit anything. Even after, like, numerous phone calls, when you get him to say, I'm a predator, at the end of it, it's like he's learned nothing. There's nothing. He's like an impenetrable... He's got this impenetrable exterior where nothing can penetrate him of any kind of wrongdoing. It's remarkable, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he cannot admit anything. He has... According to him, he has no role. There's a reason for the way that he does the things that he does, and it has to do with other people and other scenarios that he has no control over. If you didn't do this, then I wouldn't have done that. If this didn't happen, I wouldn't have done that. That's the way that it works. That's exactly, when you read that letter that he sent to the court in October of 2017, it's really funny because you can read his delusion. Yeah. And however, his attorney didn't help him out. Well, actually, his attorney only made sure that he got the 5 years. He was going to go down for a lot longer than that. If he would have gone to trial, that's the reason.
And I read about who was the verification decoy? Southern Aphrodite.
Yeah.
She was in lockstep. She was. I read something she wrote, I think it was on Perverted Justice website, that she was so concerned that Lorne was such a danger that she would ride the AUSA all the time. She was saying that don't let this guy out. He's got to do some serious time, blah, blah, blah. And so she was going to see this case through. And the funny thing about this is when you have a decoy case, and you're looking at it from a prosecutor standpoint, as long as you have your I's dotted, your T's crossed, and you're not doing anything that's illegal or unconstitutional, and the evidence is all good. Once you got that case in court, you can wait any day for a trial because you don't have a real victim. Because the real victim is the one that not screws up the case, but could make the case more complicated. Because it could make the victim may not want to testify. The victim may be intimidated. And more importantly, most of the time, the DA is going to make a deal to save the victim from going through this kind of stress. So in this case, they could have waited all day for Lorne to make a decision. That's why they told him, look, you got till tomorrow at 5 o'clock to make a deal, to make this deal, because it's not going to grow any whiskers. And you know what? If he did make that deal, they would have been more than happy to go to trial, because that trial would have lasted maybe 2-3 days at the most, however long it took to read the chat log into the record.
Mm-hmm.
And a while.
So this is a kind of this is an ideal case for a prosecutor to have, where he doesn't have a victim to worry about whether they're going to show up at court, whether they're going to get cold feet, whether they're going to get intimidated. No, this is great. So Lorne was in such deep shit. He has no idea that the prosecutor was itching to go to trial if he turned down that deal. Just itching. And it would have been more than production of child pornography. It would have been probably, maybe, who knows? We went through this earlier. Could have been attempted kidnapping, could have been a lot of things. Just to nail this guy. I think the pornography would have probably probably have done it to get 15, 30 years for that. But no, this was an easy case for the prosecutor, and with no victim to worry about, and he just has no idea. He dodged the bullet and you got to be a really good attorney to get a deal like that in a situation like that.
I mean, it's remarkable, isn't it? We were witness to his rant, which we laughed about. Well, I was in hysterics about at court, and it's a remarkable thing if you think about it. Here we are, there we were, how many years after he was originally convicted? Was it 2007? So you what, 12 years later, and the rant is still of no responsibility towards himself. Not even a hint of it. He's getting his mother to speak up for him. It's the internet's fault, just like it was the internet back then. It's just remarkable. This is why, one of the reasons why we find him so fascinating. We can't, it's not people who have a normal life, and we all have challenges, don't we? But people who have what we would consider a meaningful life, where you're learning and you having moments of fulfillment, we all take responsibility for our actions in various degrees, whether it's, saying sorry for something that you've done to a family member, or something as simple as, admitting you shouldn't have been late at work or whatever. This guy at any point in his life ever has took responsibility for anything. And nothing whatsoever. It just doesn't happen, does it?
No.
It doesn't happen. It's quite remarkable. You gotta remember, at court, people will use anything they can to get out of it. People are not gonna, it was me, send me down. That doesn't happen, people don't want to go to prison, and you can understand that, but the magnitude of lack of responsibilities in that lawsuits was that ridiculous it became comical to the point where those lawsuits contain some of the best comedy that the human race has ever come up with.
Mm-hmm.
It's true though, isn't it? If you think about it, I have literally been crying on the floor laughing, and he wrote that thinking it was serious, saying that the decoy had female powers.
Andrew, out of maybe say 10 pages, he may have written one. All that was cut and paste. That's all that was.
But nobody cut and pasted female powers or unintentional travel.
Well, no, I'm saying that's part of the page he wrote. Well, when it comes to the factual recitation and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, but I'm talking about the bits where he's like,
well, that's the good stuff.
Yeah. It's the police's fault. It's the judge's fault. They didn't explore entrapment. I was tricked. I was manipulated. They came after a vulnerable person. I said no many, many times. She used her female powers on me. I mean, it just goes on.
The good old days.
It's a comedy script. It's a comedy script.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what would his trial have looked like? I mean, obviously the prosecutor would have just put a couple of perverted justice decoys up there, read the transcript, and then did the recordings, and then it's his time to put on his defense. What would it be? Him. That's it. That's it. The only defense he has is the case. That's it. Oh my God, it would be beautiful.
He pled guilty as well. I mean, this guy pled guilty. You'd read the lawsuits, and it was almost like he never got an opportunity to fucking speak.
That's exactly what it is. He doesn't feel like he had the opportunity to have a defense. There's all kinds of technicalities that he likes to throw out there. Like, for example, I wanted to ask you, Shin, about the missing pages of his chat log. And I know a lot of times we joke about that and say, well, it's because, he's looking at the printed pages and saying that it doesn't include everything.
Yeah.
But as the chat log was being read to him, he truly did not have all of it. And it wasn't just because he didn't want to read a particular part.
Yeah.
Because he went through a lot of the embarrassing parts of that.
Yeah.
But it would really be that it was not in his package.
Well, it could be. Well, again, you got to remember the prosecutor's discovery is giving over evidence that they're going to use.
Mm-hmm.
So they may have gone through the chat log and just took out selective pages.
Okay, so it would have just been stuff, because
Yeah,
it seems to be.
if they tried to introduce something they didn't give to him, they'd have a problem.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that I don't think they're saying that it was a complete copy. What they're saying is, here, defense lawyer, this is what I plan to use either as impeachment against your client if he takes a stand, or in my case in chief, and this is what I'm going to publish to the jury. So no, 407 pages is a lot. So they would just go through that, and the defense would have the opportunity to say, okay, let's take a look at this whole thing, see what they omitted out of it, why they omitted out of it, and see if there's a potential defense there.
Mm.
But the other thing is, when these guys get sent stuff to prison, discovery packages and shit like that, they're not it's not the most organized area in the world. He could be losing pages. You never know. But, the real true way to determine whether he received a full discovery package is to take a look at the prosecutor's file or his defense attorney's file.
Mm-hmm.
His defense attorney could have also weeded out certain things, saying, try to explain this bad shit.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into all the good stuff, all the grooming stuff, although that's kind of important. But we're going to concentrate on only aspects of this thing. But
Mm-hmm.
the jury will get the whole 407 pages, which, by the way, prosecutor would be required to hand over if they're going to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
chances are he lost him in my guess is he lost him in prison, or his attorney lost him.
Right.
But, there's a couple of hands it goes through, but at the same time, I don't think there's any issue, about the authenticity of it, about the quantity of it, or anything like that. I think it's
Right.
it was all stipulated, I think.
Yeah. So as long as they weren't going to try to introduce something that they did not give him,
Right.
meaning there was a page of his chat log that they didn't include in his package, but yet if he were to go to trial or it was going to be used as evidence.
Yeah, but I think
then,
it's most likely he lost it. He
it could be,
probably
yeah.
had them all over his cell, and he lost a few
Right.
pages. Maybe his cellmate used one as toilet paper. I don't know. Anything could happen. But it's not
The holy pornography as toilet paper.
Exactly. I know that's.
I've actually got that anyway.
Oh, you know what? There's a site on the internet that you can get anything printed. This was in a chat I was in the last couple of days, where you can get anything printed on a roll of toilet paper. How about if you got the holy pornography printed on a roll of toilet paper? You think it would be big enough?
Do you know what I'd like to get done just for get the holy pornography turned into some kind of novelty book that's some kind of ancient text, that it's sort of manufactured to look like an ancient text that's been buried under the ground for hundreds of years.
Yeah, the pages are all crinkled.
Yeah, it'd just be
really
yellow. Cool.
Look how he keeps his paperwork. I mean, come on.
Oh, it is a
the state's responsible for him losing pages. I don't know.
Yeah.
Here's another copy, sir.
Yeah.
By the way, Jess made a good point about going back to our Lorne befriending a young man theory. It happened to her.
That's interesting. Let's
see. 85%. You're right. There is no good time. Truth in sentencing. 85%. Well, but you're saying it wasn't like he had a pagination issue or a page issue or a font size issue. You're saying there were actual things he did not have, right?
Yeah, absolutely. While we were reading it, he would say, I don't have that anymore. Or it goes to a different, I would read a line and he would say, where is that? I don't have that.
So we have the option of the prosecutor committing prosecutorial misconduct by not giving over mandatory discovery, or Lorne losing it. Which one? What do we got?
I'm going to go with the prosecutor.
Okay, definitely.
Yeah.
What was our topic today, man? Andrew?
Well, I think we've been going for an hour and not really touched upon it, which is just shows you how much we actually have to talk about. Hi, Kat.
Hey,
with
Kat.
regard to this topic, we were just going to have a fun theorising about what's going to happen in the next 12 months. So he gets out soon.
Oh yeah, I
What's
love it.
gonna, is there gonna be any chance and we've already answered the question. I don't think that anything's going to change. You've got
Well, it
so
depends. If
much
Nephew's
work
by
to.
his side, yeah, there'll be a
I
change.
mean,
Definitely.
I think we discussed it. We've either discussed it when we spoke on the phone or in another video where you would need a team of specialists around him 24/7, like persistently in his face, and also he'd have to be subject to electroshock therapy. And starvation tactics, all these kind of crazy things. Because the one factor that is
Clockwork.
vital, which we all know about, is the will to get better, which is something that he can't have because he doesn't think he needs to. He sees all the problems external. In order to change, you've got to look inside.
That's his
Um,
narcissism. That's his narcissism, Andrew.
yeah, of
Andrew,
course.
narcissists don't feel like they need to be cured. Narcissists
Yeah.
want to be cured.
I do think there's a part of him that knows he's fucked up. I do believe that there is a small part in there somewhere that knows, really. It comes to the surface every now and again. Every now and again in the calls, you can hear his voice quiver. Usually it's when he's getting rumbled and he's getting found out. But there's a little part of him. Has there ever been a time, Tiffany, when you'd spoke to him where you thought you got through to him? Even a little bit?
I think a little bit, but not something that would be significant. I think what I had learned was that he was just agreeing to it so that it would please me.
Yeah.
So he wasn't really, I mean, because you can see that after you, I forget which call it is, but going through a bunch of stuff with him, and then, he's talking again about being interested in him, and I say no. And then he gets really mad and hangs up. So he's really, it's not going to benefit him to get better because he doesn't, that's in his mind because he doesn't see that he has a problem at all. It's everyone else's problem.
You know what a perfect example of that is?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when you got him to admit victim one?
Mm-hmm.
And you took a break?
Yeah.
You remember what he did?
I don't. What did he do?
He was talking to his dogs like nothing happened.
Yes, absolutely.
Like he wasn't even like this huge revelation that he finally admitted had no effect on him at all. What makes you think he could change?
Oh, nothing. I don't think he could.
No, I'm talking to Andrew with that question.
Oh, okay.
But you think about it, Tiffany, though. You were in a very devastating, I also have to say, a very criminally liable confession that he just made. He has no idea that if his probation had that information, all the lies he's been telling rape class about never having victims goes right down the drain. So, but what did he do? How did he react to that? Hey, come here, handsome baby. Let's have some, that's it. That's it. It's like you were talking to a child. There's nothing that's going to change this guy because he doesn't even recognize what he's done. He's trying to outrun things. He's trying to say that was 12 years ago. That was 10 years ago. That was 11 years ago. That was 12, but nothing's changed since then. He doesn't understand that. So he's just trying to outrun it with time. That's it.
He's the perfect example of how not to do things. Because he's like you said, Tiffany, that he does have a certain amount of resourcefulness to him. If you look at his positive traits as a person, as an actual, because we do have to admit, even Betty said he can come across as charming. He has like not, I wouldn't say charming, but he comes across as quite a chatty guy, and like when you hear him talk, he comes across quite funny, and like somebody who'd be good fun maybe. He's resourceful. He's had lots of different jobs. He fucked them all up, but of course he got the business together. He got a load of people together. He learned how to play the guitar very badly. He built himself up at the gym, so he put a bit of weight on. He can fix things here and there, so he's resourceful. However, he basically teaches us how not to do things internally. So the number one successful trait of life is take responsibility for everything. He takes responsibility for zero. He doesn't have any empathy for another human being whatsoever. That's key. You've got to be conscientious, otherwise people won't give you a break. He doesn't have any real friends, does he? The only person that he has is Tony and Wendy.
I think he would give people a vibe. Yeah, he's amicable. Yeah, he's friendly, but they would always get a weird vibe from him. It's not
100%. But some people, like
I don't
people,
think that,
don't.
I don't think
look.
they reach the point. I don't think they reach the point where whoever he was talking to, this new person, whoever it is, would want his phone number or stay in touch or anything like that. It would be just like, okay, I had a weird experience today with a weird guy. I don't really see him making any headway in that regard. He doesn't have any friends at all.
No, but he used to, though. I think it's got worse. When I saw him at court and I didn't enjoy his presence, it's because he becomes more and more twisted with each passing year because more and more shit builds up in his mind. But if you think about the time when he met Betty, and Betty was like, trusted him, she's obviously just got that side to her where she wants to see the best in people. Unfortunately for her, it didn't work out. He takes advantage of situations like that. Some people are not very good at seeking. I'm not saying that Betty isn't, but some people, like, let's say the people that rang about with him when he was in Nashville, they're not very good at seeking out people. They're not very good judges of character, are they? Do you know what I mean?
No.
So he will have
people
picked
that he
up,
was at the karaoke bar with?
Yeah, there was people that hung about with him.
Allegedly.
It's generally people that probably drink.
They were his friends, I think, until his $300 credit ran out on his credit card. I think he went in there and he just bought up friends with pitchers of beer and things like that. That lasted maybe a week or two.
Well, not even friends, but just people who happened to be at the bar at the same time.
Well, he went to a barbecue, though, with one of them.
I don't know if that's true or not.
That's true. Who knows?
That could have been something with his job.
Maybe. By the way, some people are jumping ahead of us on the original tent of our video here.
Mm-hmm.
Shoe nice.
Yeah, we probably should get back to that, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Well, they have some great questions to start us off if you're interested. It says, one of them is, where is Lorne going to go? It's going to be February and May. He's penniless and he has no place to go. They should have sentenced him to 10 months for his own benefit.
That's a great question.
But what do you think he's going to do? What do you think is going to happen, Tiffany, knowing what you know when he returns to that trailer, if he does?
Well, it's going to be interesting, I think, to imagine Mama Gwen's reaction to him coming back. Because she was already pretty much sick of him. You would hear them talk, and she really is just kind of annoyed, by everything. Yeah. And it's interesting the relationship that he talks about with his mom. Mom is number one on the pedestal. No one's perfect, but mom is very, very close and all that kind of stuff. But yet he doesn't go and visit her. I think he puts in his time by calling her on the phone, and that's pretty much it. I don't think, I think that she sees him just as everyone else sees him, kind of a pain in the ass, someone, who fucked up his life big time. She is absolutely not proud of him because she had nothing to say in that letter from herself. Nothing. Yeah. So, I think that there are people in his family, very few, who take pity on him.
Oh, yeah. And
well, can I ask you a specific question though? What do you think is in one phone call where you made him call Mama Gwen about his drunk driving, and she said, "If you go back to jail, the house is going to go to Roy," and then Lorne said, "Well, he's going to have to pay me 2/3 of it." I have no idea where he got that from, but. Do you think she's going to follow through with that?
I don't know. I don't know if Roy is staying there.
I got to take
as far as I know, he's not able to drive. because of his own DUI arrest. So I don't think he would be able to get around on his own. And I think he depends on his mom or his uncle to bring him around to wherever he needs to go. So as far as going back to the trailer, if it's still if it's empty and it's being paid for, then I think he'll probably go back there. And that's, he's really just going to go back to being the same person that he's always been. There's not going to be anything else.
What about the car situation? I was amazed when I heard this story. He got, just in case nobody knows in the chat, as you can imagine, I can't imagine Lorne having a great credit record. He bought another vehicle. Excuse me. Was it an RV? What was the vehicle, Tiff? It was quite an expensive one, wasn't it? He bought it on one of them dodgy credit agreements.
Yeah, well, he bought a Dodge Journey, which, according to the Kelley Blue Book and anything that you can see online, it's not a Mercedes. It's just an average car that doesn't have the best reputation. But he did buy a brand new one, 2018, and yeah, he bought it from a car lot basically, and he doesn't have credit, so. He bought something that they were just, their mouths were salivating as he walked onto the lot.
They'd have to return that back to the manufacturer. They'd have to do something with that.
Right. So he had a $600 payment. From what I understand, at least at the beginning, it was getting paid for. So. I don't know if he's still going to have that when he comes back. But the car, I think, was valued at maybe $20,000 total. But he has a huge loan on it.
So the payout will be actually about $67,000.
So how does it work in the States? Because let's just say that he'd have done that over here. What would have happened is he wouldn't necessarily been declared bankrupt, but he will have been chased for the courts. Basically, he would have to go to court, and they would just make him pay what he could afford, which would be like a $5 a month. But he would be able to get credit again.
First, they'd repossess it, and if there's a deficiency,
of course, that goes without saying.
If any deficiency on it, say the value goes down or whatever, they could sue him.
So, what's the most likely outcome with that? In other words, he's never going to be able to buy another car. One would assume. At least a decent one.
Yeah, I guess he was interested in Alton's Dodge 1957 Dodge or something, but no, I don't think he's going to be able to finance anything for a while.
No, he was able to do that probably just because he had a job and he went to a predatory lender, and then but also
where else does a predator go?
Oh, there you go. Then I guess he would understand. But prior to that, he did have the van, and that was actually purchased, I believe, by his brother. His brother bought that and basically gave it to him to drive, and he was supposed to pay his brother back, another person that he fucked over.
Which brother?
I think it might have been Richard.
Okay.
I think because he works at a car lot, and was able to probably find something.
Okay. Now I have a question about that same phone call with Mama Gwen saying she's going to give it to Roy, and then Lorne's immediate response was, "You might as well give it to Roy. He just has to pay me 2/3 of it." Where's he getting that from?
The 2/3?
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, his math is so fucked up and crazy.
Well, where's he making payments? I mean, is he paid? I mean, I know he's paying rent.
Making payments. Yes, that's exactly it. He's paying rent. He's paying for the land. But he doesn't own
that's all included. That's not really whatever his deal is, I'm sure. But in other words, if Roy gets possession of that land, and Lorne tries to get 2/3 of its value from Roy. Where's it? I mean, I don't understand where is the money that he spent representing 2/3 of the value that land that he plans to go to court with if he has to take them there. I don't understand that.
Right? No, it's nowhere. That's where it is. It's nowhere.
So was he telling his mother yeah, I'll give it to Roy, but you go ahead and give it to Roy, but he's going to have a hard time with me about it. Is that his way of doing that, you think?
Pretty much.
What a...
I mean, he wouldn't be able to go to court with it. That's ridiculous, But he would be an asshole about it for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
There's no doubt. I mean, one of the things I've always thought of too, just as a side note, is could you imagine if someone had pulled a scam on Mom, just like the one he did Betty? How much screaming he would be doing, how much threatening he would be doing to the cocksucker.
Didn't you bring that up to him though? Didn't you say that?
I don't know.
No, you did. You brought it up to him, Tiffany, if I remember correctly. You basically, when you was trying to get something out of him, something close to morality, it was like, can you not appreciate? Because you basically brought up the point of he doesn't want to pay Betty back. We know he's no interest. The only time he's ever made a payment to her is when he was basically strong-armed into it by the community or whoever happened to be the catfish at the time.
Right.
Because he's no interest. It doesn't serve his agenda to do that. It's quite obvious, isn't it? And you basically said, and he would be outraged if someone did it to his mother, but not for the right reasons, And
it's almost like every time you hear, like there was one phone call where I think it was Winnie or somebody said Roy had borrowed $20 from your mom, from your mom, and Lorne was pissed off about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the reason is because it's less for him. And I think that's pretty much the way everything is with him.
Well, I think too that he likes to have other people be in trouble, and he likes to place judgment on other people. And so when you look at the Roy situation, Roy's really the only one that he feels that he has an upper hand over, because Roy's life is a mess.
And Roy's an even bigger alky than Lorne, isn't he?
It seems to be that way. Yeah.
Which
I mean, outwardly,
how do you measure it? I mean, they're both. I think they're both bad.
I think
does
no,
Roy
they
work?
are.
But Roy is cleaned up, though.
Uncle.
Hasn't Roy sobered up, though?
Roy, yeah. As far as I know, what he did clean up after he was arrested and he got out of jail. So he, but Lorne was the one that called the cops on Roy because he was driving drunk. And not to say that that's a bad thing, but he was doing it so that Roy would get into trouble. And he was also the one that told his family that he was the one that called the cops on him so that he could be praised as some kind of a fucking hero. And I can tell you that it was, if not that very night, he went to Tony's and did the same thing. Jeez. And what does he do when he gets on the phone with someone? You better not call the cops on me.
Yeah.
This is the type of guy that Lorne is. So he loves it when other people are in trouble. He loves when Roy is the talk of the family. And he will go on and on about how everyone's sick of Roy. And we were all talking about how everyone's fed up with his drinking. He loves when the conversation is deflected from him.
Well, I mean, you can kind of, it's quite kind of obvious, isn't it? With someone like him who's been, can you imagine how he must have felt if he was concerned about how the family felt about him after what happened? Man, it'd be good for him to relieve the pressure, wouldn't it? It's like, look at him, he's done some bad.
The funny thing is, he would not need to go to so much dramatic lengths to impress his family if he just did some simple things, But he's not capable of doing these simple things that me and you do, and we all do. He's just not in his. It's just not in his makeup, is it? No, somebody said Roy's in prison till April. I'm not sure about that. Is that true?
I haven't heard anything about that, but I don't know.
Because so what's he going to go back to? So he's probably going to go back to.
Is he going to be able to get another job?
He probably will be able to. I think it's, because he was driving for a trucking company, and I don't think that their application process is necessarily as strict. I mean, for him to, get this job in the first place, he has to disclose his felony, I believe. And he certainly would have explained all of the internet people because he does that on his job interviews. But I think that he probably will be able to get another job, if not the same one. He doesn't currently work for R.C. Moore, which is who he was working with previously. I think because basically he wasn't going to be available for so long. But it's possible that he could be eligible for rehire when he gets out.
Could
I
be.
don't know.
He's still got I don't know whether Department of Motor Vehicles is going to have a problem with his CDL record, with the alcohol-related violations, things like this. We don't know, but we do know his employer knows about his alcohol use now, and that's why he's been violated.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's got to be a huge telltale sign whether you want to hire him back or not.
Well, it's not good for a driving job, is it?
Yeah, and not only that, but there are cameras and there are audio equipment in the cab of his truck.
Yeah,
He's been doing some weird shit in there too.
He's been blocking the camera.
I'm surprised they didn't say stop doing that. But
you've got to ask yourself, let's just say that he doesn't get a job. Let's just say that he can't find one, which is possible. We're not talking about the most employable guy in the world here. It doesn't matter how easy it is to get a job. The opportunities around there are limited. It's not like he lives in New York City. So let's just say he can't get a job. Even if he leeches off Mama Gwen consistently, she's not going to have enough money to fund his alcohol problem. So what's he going to do then?
No. Probation requires as a condition that he gets a job. Doesn't matter where it is. He's got to get a job. If he wants to stay out, he's got to get a job.
Okay, that's a strange. So what about people who can't find jobs?
Well, then he's not going to be.
You've just got to become a sex offender, and you're guaranteed one.
Well, you got to remember, if he doesn't get a job, everything else falls down because he's got probation fees up the ass now when he comes out. He's got and those will build up, and not paying those are violations. Just so you know, so he's gonna be really squeezed when he gets out in terms of whatever money he does get is mostly he's going to have to go toward his treatment, toward his alcohol apparatuses that he has around him, all this other stuff, and I think it's going to leave him no money for cigarettes, no money for beer, but somehow he'll find it. I don't know. But even if he doesn't have a job, I think he still will get cigarettes and beer somehow. He'll be violated by Christmas.
I think so too. I think he's definitely going to be violated by the end of the year. Yes, he will be. He might be violated right now. Who knows what's happening? But I think he will violate his probation again because Lorne, what he's going to try to do is work his way around the system. And it's just like I was looking at his paperwork from when he was released from prison originally. And then he didn't go back on paper with a modification to the probation due to a violation until 2015. So for 3 years, it appears anyway, according to court records, that's not to say that Maria doesn't have something on file about verbal communication with him to not do something or he needs to do something. But according to that, he sort of was flying under the radar. And that was probably based on a lot of fear that he had when he was released from prison, trying to put some kind of a life together. And so I think now with him getting out, I think it's just going to be a matter of time before he's going to start slipping. Because anytime something happens like this, even with Lorne getting caught, he is going to be a good boy for a little while because he's going to remember that fear. He's still going to be feeling it, but he's going to put time and space in between that as the year goes on. Mm-hmm. And he's going to start wanting to act out, which is he's going to try to do it better though this time so that he doesn't get caught.
That's the other thing you touched on that. Probation knows his animal a lot more now than they did before. Mm-hmm. So they know. I wouldn't be surprised if they were catching up on YouTube content while he was in jail, just to find out.
Nah, I mean, you know the system better than I do, Shin. But
I would.
I
I would.
just
If I was probation officer, I definitely would.
no. But if we were Lorne's probation officer, we'd be the happiest people in the earth, and we'd be
Oh my
fucking
God.
looking over everything and trying to get him screwed up. But he's just one in a lot with them. If it's anything like the probation system in the UK, it's under a lot of scrutiny over here because it's kind of busting at the seams really. There's too much work and not enough manpower. It's like that with all the public sectors over here. I mean, it's probably a bit different in the States. I know you guys have got all sorts going on at the minute, but it's different.
That could very well be the case that Lorne took advantage of for years up here. But I don't think that's the case anymore.
Mitchell was involved in the internet stuff. I believe that he bought Nathaniel's book. He was into what was happening. He was the one, I think, that was telling Lorne what was going on the internet that he was unaware of, that type of stuff. So I think it's very possible. Certainly, we can imagine from us that even though, again, we're not looking at it from having a bunch of people that we have to keep track of. But I would be interested in if somebody was saying to me they're being harassed on the internet, there's people obsessed with him. I would want to see what that was.
Oh, of course. And especially when you start hearing his voice. I mean, it would behoove you not to do your job and listen to everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love so much to see Maria's file on Lorne.
Oh, my God.
Or even Allie's files.
Guys,
Lorne.
I got to step away for a sec. I got to get my roast out.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. I think I'd sooner see that than the original Star Wars handwritten script by George Lucas. Than Maria's file on Lorne.
Yeah, I think it would be like getting a treasure, to see these things that aren't official but are documented.
Do you know what was really, I was going to say weird, but I'd describe it more as brilliant really, was when I was in court and we were hearing everything spoken out. Because even when you're speaking to him, it's all, we don't see it as reality, do we? We're talking, we're listening to this guy, and in your case, speaking to him. But because of how crazy it is, you can't really judge it as reality. It's like it's almost fictitious. But when you're in the courtroom setting and you're hearing it all being spoken out about his violations, about his alcohol abuse, about To Catch a Predator, it's such a surreal thing to see this kind of internet fantasy suddenly happen in real life. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it would be really funny to hear things like, names being brought up that are us.
Yeah, like even when they were in the courtroom and they said To Catch a Predator, and I think they might have even said like Lorne A00 or whatever, there was a couple of like references, and you're just like, this is amazing. This is like, it was such a surreal situation, and to those people, it was an empty courtroom, not a big deal to them, not a particularly big case, but to us at the back, this was like one of the most exciting things we'd ever seen. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. But with regard to what's the future's going to bring for Lorne, what do you think? I don't know what the answer's going to be, but I'm going to ask you the question anyway. What do you think the chances are now that he's in prison? There's no contact with anybody. No one's calling him. He can't drink. What are the chances that he's had this kind of realization and thought, oh my fucking God, what am I doing with my life?
I think that that chance is very, very small. I won't say that it's 0% because I think that would be impossible to tell. But I think it's very, very small based on his past behavior and his mentality. Even when he was in prison and he was being spoken to, there's no connection, that's going to be made. I'm sure he's furious with the attorney that he had for this hearing. I'm sure he's furious with the judge. I'm sure he's pissed off at everything because he's going to think that it's the community's fault that he was there.
Yeah, because he's going to wonder who me and Shin and who the rest of the guys were. He's going to be thinking, we're the guys that put him there. He'll be thinking it's some kind of internet mafia situation.
Yeah, but it would be really misplaced for him to do that because they dismissed count 4, which dealt with all the catfish and all that shit, and all of it was related to his alcohol use. Period.
Right, but he says it's because of the internet that he's drinking.
Yeah,
Oh,
he said
yeah.
because if you remember, weren't his first words, "They won't leave me alone."
Yeah, I don't know what to do.
Okay, my God. All right. So okay, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Okay. I don't know what to say, but he was drinking for a long, long time. We know that. It had nothing to do with internet idiots or anything like that.
Oh no, his first violations to drinking it was before anything happened.
That's true. That's
It
right.
was definitely before that. So
In 2015, I think, right?
and actually, yes, 2015 was when he got busted. And it said on the paperwork that it was due to a stress from a failed romantic relationship. Who was Nikki? Do you remember Nikki?
Nikki.
Nikki was an actual woman in his
Oh, she
area
was
that
the teeth.
something about the teeth, yeah. But then also this was the reason also that Lorne took out a bunch of loans and gave her the money, something like 10 grand, in order to get her shit together because she was an addict and she had
I call
lost
bullshit on that, but okay.
custody on her kids. But yeah, but that had to do with the Nikki situation, and he blamed it on that as well.
Okay.
So, but as far as what's going to happen with his drinking after this, even though he's going to be monitored, and hopefully he's really going to feel the squeeze this time from probation, as far as we're really going to be watching you and you're not going to get away with it, because even when he had the breathalyzer, he wasn't deterred from drinking. He just had to figure out a way that he could do it so that they wouldn't know. So the first time that he violated that, he did it and he was drinking at night. They texted him. He didn't take the test.
Right.
And I believe he was going to try to pretend as if I was sleeping. I didn't know that I was supposed to take it. And what ended up happening was the next morning, the probation officer called him and said, "You're taking the test right now." But unfortunately for him, he was still drunk at the time.
What an idiot. What about he goes to class drunk?
He went to class drunk. And he said it was because he was eating fruit that she could smell alcohol.
Jesus.
I think that's great.
But think about that, though. You just think about that. I'm about to go to a class that has my freedom in the balance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So let me kick back a 6-pack. What the hell? I mean,
you're looking at it through eyes of a reasonable person, Shin.
No. I'm not making a judgment about it. I'm just, it is what it is. But what I'm saying is, what makes you think he's not going to drink again? I mean, if you can't even be sober for your probation meeting, by the way, you have to drive an hour or two to Bangor. So they know he drove drunk as well. Maybe they didn't think he was intoxicated. They should have breathalyzed him. But
what I'd just like to say is, though, I did a video recently about alcohol, Lorne's alcohol situation, and I related some of it to my own sort of experiences. I've never been an alcoholic, but I have been alcohol dependent. And I would say I had a drink problem. There's no doubt about that. And someone, I don't want to embarrass them because even though the comments was anyway, someone who's in the chat now, and they can speak if they want to, put a comment on there and said that they had a drink problem and that it gripped hold of them, and it's like a disease, really. And it kind of is. I mean, we I know somebody in my life who's got a problem with it, and I'm trying to help them with it, and it's incredibly difficult. It's all self-imposed on him, but is it realistic? Is it realistic to say that he could just stop? It's like getting somebody off heroin. It can't be done. you understand
Well,
what I'm saying? I'm not trying to stick
considering
up
what
for him.
he's got a head start. He's got 6 months of sobriety, right? As soon as he gets out of jail. And the question is, will he take advantage of that?
But
I
in
think.
prison, you have a structure and you have rules that you cannot escape other than suicide. You have to abide by them, and the thing that's keeping him going is the prospect of getting out. It's not a long sentence. He's due out very soon.
No. I will add to that sentence. The thing that keeps him going is the prospect of all these earthly pleasures he's missing on the inside. The cigarettes, the beer, all this stuff.
Of course.
Those are his only things he knows in life that
millions
gives him
of
any
people,
positive.
millions of people live like that in the Western world. With him, what I'm trying to say is, for somebody in his position, because there's no point giving him all these rules and regulations. What they want to do, they want to, the courts don't want him to come back. The judge doesn't want him to come back. They don't want him to they don't want him to offend again, because why would you? They don't want criminals. They want people to get on with their lives and cause no bother for the state. Is it realistic? Are the conditions that he's given realistic? We can say that fuck him, and quite rightly so. He doesn't deserve any.
What do you mean realistic? What do you mean? Will he be able to comply, or
is it realistic to say that somebody like Lorne can keep to those conditions?
Oh no.
So, is there any point in imposing them?
Yes. Of course.
Well, I mean, that's Lorne's whole trick. The whole trick is it's too hard. So can we get rid of that? It's like if I can get rid of that alcohol condition in my probation, I'd be fine on probation. Mm-hmm. Alcohol has nothing to do with my underlying crime. Mm-hmm. It's to him, it's unfair. It's he's being persecuted. All these things.
Yeah. My sort of question isn't concerning his feelings. I don't give a fuck about them. What I'm concerned, not concerned. What I'm sort of asking is it realistic? So, do we all, as much as you hate Lorne or whatever, your feelings towards him, we can all agree that a safe and content Lorne is a safe one for everybody, because he is a predator and he does pose a risk.
Yeah,
if the opportunity was,
a sober Lorne is safe for everybody. That's the most important thing. That's
he's not drink driving. He's less inclined to get on the internet and do silly things.
Yeah, but when you say, will he? I'm not sure what you're saying. Are you saying it's unfair for them to impose that on him, or will he?
Is it a good idea to give him those conditions which are not going to be kept?
Fuck yes. Give him why should he be treated any different than anybody else?
No, I'm not saying he should, but I'm not talking about him specifically. It could be somebody else in his position. The chances are he's not going to be able to keep to them. So would it be better to impose conditions that are more realistic?
No. You don't.
Here's the thing. Let me just say that when he was released, the term of his condition was not to use alcohol excessively.
Right.
The only time that it was brought into his probation that he could not drink at all is when he was drinking excessively and they had to stop him.
Right, that's a good point.
But Andrew, where does that?
So what you're saying is, he's had a chance and he blew it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just like the internet, he had a chance to be on the internet too.
Yeah.
And he blew that. But I don't know. I mean, no. I mean, this. It's like saying, okay, Dustin can't stop talking to young girls. Is it fair to put a restriction on him to not talk to young girls?
No. But I think it's a little bit different, because what I'm trying to say is alcoholism is seen as an illness. It's like if someone's got an addiction to heroin, they give them what's it called?
Methadone.
Yeah, they give them that, don't they? They just say, right, no more, because it's too
Andrew,
harmful.
They send people to prison for life with multiple DUIs. Okay, to life in prison. And one guy just got sent to 56 years for his 8th DUI. You can't just ignore that. You can't.
No, I'm not. No, of course, I'm not suggesting that that you should.
No, but what I'm saying is alcohol, that kind of condition is imposed on a lot of probationees. And and especially their alcohol related crimes. And if they can't fly right, they have no choice but to be taken off the streets. And Lorne, I think, has a direct correlation between his outrageous behavior, I should say, his most outrageous behavior with his drinking, and also what he's doing on the roads. So, I mean, they should, as a matter of fact, they should tighten the screws on that. And by the way, I think I was an alcoholic at one point.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I was. I mean, I'm not sure what the distinction is between have a problem with alcohol or not. And it is very difficult. But I'll tell you one thing, if my liberty was on the line, I'd have somebody tie me to my bed to keep me away from alcohol if I needed to. You know, I just don't understand. It's a very small condition it's huge because it's a big, big problem, but you can't just, you can't just turn away from it. You can't just say, okay, well, it's too hard to impose that on him, so let's let him go ahead and do that. It's not really fair.
I'm not for 1 minute suggesting. I'm not for 1 minute suggesting.
Well, I know you're not. I know you're not. But this is what Lorne tries to do, though. You know, the condition's so hard, so let's make it more lenient for me, please. That's the only way.
Okay. Well, let me ask Andrew. Let me ask Andrew. What do you think would be realistic? What should it be?
I don't know. I don't have an answer. I just know that what they're asking him to do now isn't going to happen. It's going to lead to some kind of extreme behaviour, whether it will be more extreme alcoholism or extreme ways of him getting... I mean, he's not going to keep to it, which could actually be positive, because what could happen is he'll end up back in prison. If he ends up back in prison, he'll have a longer sentence.
Well, Andrew, Steve brought up a good issue. I mean, it wasn't Steve. Who was it? Johnny Utah. If they just left him to his own devices and said, stop drinking alcohol, that'd be one thing. But they're not doing that. They're saying, here's an alcohol counselor for you. We want you to go to AA. We want you to take advantage of all the treatments available. And by the way, it's free. It's all taxpayers' money. You got to pay a copay, but that's about it. That's one thing. But if they just said, hey, stop drinking alcohol, and we're not going to offer you any help to do that, that's a totally different situation. So it's him who has decided not to take advantage of the help that could help him ultimately stay out of jail. So, you know, if they again just left him alone and didn't offer him any help, I would agree with you, or I would agree with that proposition. But
no, you're right, because he does get, you know, it's not like they just leave him to it. He gets, you know, he has a probation officer, he had all these treatments, he had like a therapist, a counsellor. He had more help than he deserved, and he decided to not take any of it because he didn't believe that he had a problem. He kind of, it's like when you're talking to him, Tiffany, he's like, I hate it when I do that. I'm so mad for drinking. It's like, shut up, man. You know, he wants to do it. He's no interest in stopping, and a lot of people are in that position. He enjoys it, and a lot of people do. You know, it can be fun to have a drink. It's obviously very destructive. A lot of people, it's destructive, but it's the easy way out for him. Something I've discovered, you know, when you've got issues in your life you need to overcome, if you drink excessively, or even regularly, not like that you'd be an alcoholic, but true growth isn't possible if alcohol rules your life. You end up stuck in the same patterns. It's a really strange drug. It really is. That's why I did a couple of videos about it. I find it fascinating at the minute.
We should talk. We should do a video on that. We should do a stream on that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, you know, I'm gonna have to wrap it up soon, but we could go on for ages. I mean, that's the trouble with these streams. It's like I try and limit it to like an hour and 30, and thinking that it'll be more than enough time, but it can go on forever.
How long have we been going? What time is it?
Just about an hour 35, hour 40.
Okay. Okay, so we're. I'm going to take a guess at what kind of job Lorne gets. I think it's going to be some kind of like a janitorial, or some kind of a cleanup, or some kind of some kind of a job that way. I don't think he could work at, like, say a Burger King or a place like that. First of all, I don't think anyone would take.
If you heard this first here, if Lorne gets a job at Burger King or Krusty Burger or whatever,
I'm
I'm
going.
flying over to the States to
We gotta
say,
go.
please, can I have a Krusty Burger with fries and just make the most ridiculous order and then say, no, there's something wrong with that. I've changed my mind. just to see him there. It's like that Simpsons where Grandpa Simpson goes working at Krusty Burger, doesn't he? He goes like, hello, do we have French fries? I've got a picture of him in my head in Burger King.
But it seems like every time he's right on the cusp of just getting ahead in life. Like, he had that great job in Nashville where he was operating the lull, and they asked him to work full time for this guy. Everything was going good for him. The next day, he's arrested. Here, he seems to be doing well. He's working all the hours he wants. He's got flex hours. He's making more money than he has probably in his whole life. He gets arrested. It's like one step forward, two steps back with this guy. I don't think he's going to end up with. Well, here's the other thing: to hire an ex-con like this, an ex-felon like this, is a huge tax credit for employers. So they can get like up to $10,000 a year in tax credits to deduct off their revenues. So he's good for that, and all they have to do is employ him for, I think it's 90 days to get the entire credit. So that's the only value he has. Other than doing shit work that nobody else wants to do.
I think he's going to go back driving again. That's all that he's done. He doesn't really have any other skill I can see. I can't see him working in Burger King or something like that, or in an office.
I don't know if they would let him work in Burger King. Too many kids coming in there.
Well, that's absolutely true. But I think prior to him working at RC Moore, I think he worked at, I can't remember the name of the company, but it was the one that would lay him off during mud season. And I think he was just driving wood chips or something like that.
Wood, yeah.
Yeah, so I think he would get some kind of a job like that. I think if people look at what they're going to be concerned about is your driving record. And, has it been a crime of like a DUI or something like that? And because he went to jail for a probation violation regarding sex offender treatment, that doesn't have to do with driving. And as long as that falls within the parameters that they can hire with, I think they will. I think they have a huge turnover at places like that.
I think he could, he could do something like be an auto parts driver.
Autopilot then. I don't know what my brain was thinking, but never mind.
No, auto parts. Those, they drive around those little pickups and bring auto parts to garages and stuff like that. Right. He could do something like that. But unfortunately, I guess my point before was every time he seems to be making some progress, he falls back. So he's going to have to start from zero again because he's not going to get the same kind of job that he had at RC Moore again. Well, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But I don't think they'll be treating him with as much. They won't be as liberal with him. That's for sure. If he goes back there, maybe they'll give him less pay. But I don't think he's going to be able to make up for how much progress he made before he went in right away.
Well, they may restrict him because I know he got in trouble while he's working there for speeding through their parking lot, and then also on the road. I believe someone called the number that you see on the trailers. Call, is my driving safe? And you can call a number. I want to say that he got busted for something like that. And then also, like I said, going through their parking lot, he was speeding. And so they took him off of a certain route that he was doing. So he was only running the Poland Spring route between their warehouses. He wasn't going to other locations like other drivers were able to do. So I have a feeling that if he does go back there, they're just going to restrict his responsibilities, and he's going to do something like just moving the trailers around on their own lot. because I think that's what he was restricted to do prior as well as punishment.
One of the biggest surprises that I learned, and this is something I don't think he'll get again, is how he's able to call his own hours. So if he was up on the phone with a catfish all night and drunk, he could sleep till 11 o'clock, sleep it off, and go to work. What if he had no choice, and now he has to work at 8 o'clock every day, be at work? I don't think he'd be able to do that. I mean, assuming the catfish are no longer in his life, are in his life, he would.
There'll always be someone. There'll always be someone, and it'd be interesting maybe on another stream, because I'm gonna have to start wrapping this up. Unfortunately, it'd be very interesting to theorize if there was no catfishes at all. What would he do to occupy his time? Because over the last few years, it's been a massive part of his time. He spent an enormous amount of time doing his videos, speaking to whoever it was. There's been a lot of them. It occupies him. It sort of consumes him, really, because it gives him a sense of importance, which is obviously he just doesn't get it. For him to say in court that he wanted to do his cooking show, it just shows and highlights, if we ever needed it, that he still doesn't even get the slightest bit of... He doesn't even understand anything about the YouTube situation. He doesn't understand how people perceive him. He doesn't understand the gravity of his crime. He doesn't understand sex offence crimes. He doesn't get fucking anything. It's remarkable, really. There's such a lack of understanding on everything. So it'd be really interesting to see, to theorise where his life would go, because he'd have a lot of time to fill, wouldn't he? Would he spend more time with Tony and Wendy? Would he drink even more excessively?
The reason why he has the catfish is because he doesn't have a world at all. I mean, Tony and Wendy are not his first choice of friends for sure. I can figure that. But every time he gets upset with somebody on the phone, he hangs up. I always imagine what he's doing when he does that. He hangs up his phone, and then he looks around at his shitty life. What's he going to do? He's got nothing else. He's going to hope that catfish calls back, or he's going to call her back. But I don't know if there's anything in his life that is going to make him not want to reach out.
Oh no, I totally agree. There'd be no. He knows that he's nothing else to do. It's like the kid at school that nobody wants to be friends with. He'll befriend Ralph Wiggum if he has to. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's just interesting to theorize. How self-destructive would he be? It's an interesting.
Look who his best friends are.
Well, his friends are not friends. He doesn't have any, does he? They're not friends. They're just
no. His best friends, according to him.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, people that are just taking the piss out of him. Yeah. It's
exactly.
It's crazy. I'm gonna have to wrap it up, I'm afraid. It's getting a bit late. I've got work in the morning. I don't want to go in drunk, so I'm gonna have to wrap it up.
just take the hair of the dog that bit you. You're a little drunk. Just go ahead. By the way, who didn't get a literal asshole? Anybody? Everybody got a literal asshole in this room, right? Okay. Everybody gets
find a way if I can. I don't want one.
You don't want? Oh, come on! It's on the way. I'm sorry, Tiffany. It's on the way. I can't pull it back.
Right.
So Andrew's leaving for a couple of weeks. Thailand.
I don't go away till a week on Wednesday, so I'm going to do probably another chat log video at some point before I go. But I haven't got time for another stream. But Kat G in the comments mentioned that she'd like to do. Maybe I think we should do a stream just on the alcohol situation. And I think she'll join us because she's got some things to say about the situation. So I think that may be our next one, if you two guys are up for it.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
So, Tiffany and Shin, thank you very much for joining me, and it's been real good fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did Shin manage to avoid chewing? I don't think he did.
I didn't.
He definitely chewed, and there was a bouncing ball. Sometimes they were happening.
Where did you get that ball from, man?
Well, originally I had a basketball, and you guys had a problem with that. And then I had a football, and when you drop those, they don't exactly roll predictably. And then I got one of those little stress reliever balls, and somebody stole it. I don't know what happened to it, but I got that for Tiffany. So
Yeah. Okay.
but
Thanks.
and the gum, I'm fasting.
Right. Thank you. Despite your annoying tendencies, Shin, thank you very much for taking time out, and because I know it's not you have to go to another location to do this, so I really do appreciate it. It's always great to have you on, and Tiffany, thanks for joining me again. It's a
Thank you so
pleasure to have
much
you
for
on as
asking.
always. Guys in the chat, thank you so much. There's been loads of people in the chat. It's been great. We've had real good fun. I wish we could have carried on. It is Thailand, yeah, and it's not for the reasons you people might think. You know what pisses me off? Whenever I mention to people at work or wherever, the first thing that people say, "Oh, watch out for them ladyboys." For fuck's sake, you just can't. People can't like.